About 1 million Defense Department employees and contractors now work remotely, and the Pentagon is working to allow for classified remote work opportunities. James Hasik is a senior fellow at George Mason University's Center for Government Contracting and a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. He's writing in Defense News about whether DoD still needs the Pentagon building. Thanks for being here, Jim. It's a provocative idea to stop using the Pentagon. Why should we consider it?
You know, when the Pentagon was built back in 1942, 1943, the notion was that there was a great need to have all the top leadership of the War Department and the Navy Department, as it was at the time, together in one place so they could plan the war effort very effectively alongside one another, not scattered around Washington, D.C. and its environs. So that made sense given the technology at the time, and also one crucial reality that we overlooked today, which was that the Germans had about zero ability to actually attack Northern Virginia. Okay, so what has changed in the interim is that the Pentagon has become, because every headquarters facility in the world has become vulnerable to standoff precision weapons. Our adversaries now have lots of these. Okay, we're worried about this in the Western Pacific. We probably should be worried about it around the world. Any fixed target, any concentrated fixed target is highly vulnerable, but something else has changed. We probably don't all need to work alongside each other anymore because we're not working alongside each other anymore. The people in the Pentagon had scattered all over to homes around, Fairfax County and further. And this defense secretary, Mark Esper, says, I'm pleasantly surprised. It was actually the words he used to say, this is going much better than I thought it would. And his deputy CIO is on the record of having said, we're not having big problems with this. It's working out okay. So why would you want a big target that concentrates almost all the top leadership of the military departments and the Office of Secretary of Defense, less the defense agency? You want a big target that concentrates 30,000 of the top people in the department in one place. Oh gosh, would I go after that in wartime if I were an enemy? Absolutely. It'd be tops on my list.
Sure. It sounds like you think we're at something of a turning point with the pandemic, that it's really shown how much can be done remotely. What about that classified piece? Do you think that presents something of a barrier to your idea?
So it absolutely presents, if not a barrier, at least a ramp. That would be something that the Defense Department would need to work out over time. And it's also sort of a matter of comfort with what it is that we consider to be classified and how it's treated. We've heard plenty of people speculating about how we probably in the Defense Department are people there enormously overclassify things that don't need to be as classified as they are right now. And they treat them with a lot of more, arguably with a lot more care than they probably need to. Many of the things that we're worried about the Chinese and the Russians finding out are pretty mundane. So let me give you an example. Go back to World War II. Okay, if you go over to the Army Navy Club in Arlington, you're going to see on the wall a copy of it's actually the original, I think, of Eisenhower's speech. That picture where he's talking to the paratroopers before D-Day. This is the speech that he had prepared so he could go talk to the people. And he says, you guys are landing in France tomorrow. And stamped top and bottom, it says confidential. It's not top secret. So we definitely had a different way of looking at things back in the day. And I'm not sure that this is actually going to prove to be as big a problem as people think it is. Also, I'm not actually suggesting that everybody has to work from home. It possibly could be that we could set up lots of satellite offices, or at least the military departments around if Northern Virginia, Maryland district, and then further out around the country. Not everybody has to actually work from his home office once the pandemic kind of gets more, either manageable or we get accustomed to it. But this is an important ancillary argument that I had about why it would be a great idea to close the Pentagon. Nobody really wants to come here. Okay, so I mean, if you're stationed in California or in Hawaii or in Texas, and your kids are in school, and you're hoping to rotate back to, I don't know, Jade Command or something later in your career, why do you want to move? I mean, I love Northern Virginia, but why do you want to have to move? Is it not possible that we could actually disperse more offices around the country? And I've got probably, except for the local congressional delegation here, I can find a lot of congressmen who would probably be excited about that idea as well.
Sure. Are there maybe some disadvantages, though? Obviously, you think it's worth it to eliminate this target, but what do you think would be the downsides of this?
Oh, no, so the downsides are clear. I mean, the big one is that if I sent the if I actually sent headquarters Space Force, not if I didn't put it in the Pentagon, like the Space Force keeps saying, oh no, it's going to be in the Pentagon. If it actually went to Colorado Springs or wherever, then when the head of the Space Force wanted to talk to, the chief, when the chief of space operations wanted to talk to the naval operations, and he didn't want to do it on the phone or on a video conference, he'd actually have to get on an airplane. Okay, if you do want that close contact, that kind of sitting around the big oak table kind of feeling, which is important sometimes. Right. Okay, so that you're not going to have all the time. Myself, I've been a little bit mystified by, or maybe I've just sort of been intrigued by the reaction to remote work, this pleasant surprise that lots of folks had, because I mean, it was a personal experience. I've worked from home as an academic or a consultant for most of the last 2 decades. And, it works a little bit better when I'm alongside people, but it's really not critical. And it doesn't get me on airplanes that much.
Jim, we only have a few more seconds, so I just want to ask, what do you think are the odds that this could happen? How crazy is this idea?
So it's pretty low, to be honest, and that's what actually. The biggest argument I've heard from some of the people who have talked to me about this since I published this thing, and one of the motivations I had for publishing it was that I really hadn't seen anybody making this argument before, is that, well, yeah, but that'll never happen. Well, I've heard plenty of other, well, that'll never happen. Like, would the Marine Corps give up all its tanks? Well, there was a good reason they might have done that, and that just happened. So, stresses tend to have a cleansing effect. Sometimes there are things that we've been doing wrong for decades that, it takes a good crisis to create some action. And I hope at least I can start a conversation about this, because I'm alarmed by just how concentrated a target our military headquarters really is.
Thanks for the time, Jim.